Today we are going to have a lecture now about the anterolateral ascending tract system. We have already discussed into detail what is the dorsal tract system, right? And now we will talk about the anterolateral tract system. For a little review, how do you compare anterolateral system with the dorsal system? Which one is the high velocity system? Dorsal system. Which is low velocity? Anterolateral. Which is heavily myelinated? Dorsal system. Less myelinated? Anterolateral system. Where there is better gradations of intensity and better, you can say, lamination of the fibers, that somatotopical arrangement of fiber is better from spinal cord up to the cortex connections. Dorsal system. Where variety of stimuli is more? Sensations which are going with a larger variety, the anterolateral system. And vibration sense goes by anterolateral or dorsal? Pain and temperature goes by anterolateral, right? Sense of position goes by dorsal system, right? You remember, good. So let's now discuss into detail anterolateral system, right? In anterolateral system, basically we have two parts. As you know already, here are of course, what is this? Motor root, and here is sensory input, isn't it? With dorsal root, ganglion, right? Now, in the dorsal system, we have already discussed that these fibers in the dorsal system are fasciculus gracilis and fasciculus cuneatus, right? But in anterolateral system, the ascending tracts are in anterior column and lateral column. Is that right? First of all, we will talk about the pain and temperature pathway through anterolateral system. We will talk about pain and temperature pathway, right? I will go into detail of pain and temperature, not only just telling the ascending tracts related with that. Let's suppose this is your peripheral tissue from where pain or temperature is going to. For example, this is your skin. Is that right? So first of all, we must know what are the receptors, right? The receptors for pain are usually free nerve endings. These are free nerve endings, pains. And in the same way, there are free nerve endings plus special thermal receptors which take up the temperature sense. Is that right? Thermal receptors, which from where you take up the temperature sense. Now, when we talk about the pain pathway, is that right? When we talk about the pain pathway, actually pain pathway has distinctly two types of fibers, right? There are two types of fibers which are taking the information to the central nervous system, right? One pathway is called A delta pathway and other is C fiber pathway. Here I must clear your concepts that peripheral nerves are divided into A, B and C category according to their degree of myelination, right? Fibers in the A category are more myelinated and fiber in the C category are not myelinated. So it means pain is going by two systems, by A fibers. Again, A fibers are alpha, beta, gamma and delta. The A delta fibers which carry the fast pain, these fibers are lightly myelinated. They are not heavily myelinated, they are lightly myelinated, but C fibers are unmyelinated. Now, pain usually has two components. There are two types of pain, fast pain and slow pain, right? Fast pain, the classical example of fast pain is pinprick pain, right, or burning pain, right? And slow pain is, again, fast pain, the classical example of fast pain is, rather than burning, you must remember the example of pinprick. When sharp pin pricks you, you feel a pain which very rapidly goes. That is example of fast pain. Is that right? And that is carried by A delta fiber. Then there is throbbing pain, or there is gnawing pain, or there is burning pain, or there is dull diffuse pain. These pains are carried by C fiber. With the onset of painful event, fast pain is perceived by central nervous system within 0.1 second. Right? It's very rapidly goes to the central nervous system. So fast pain is perceived by the person within 0.1 second of the onset of the pain stimulus. But slow pain is felt after 1 hour or even after longer delay. Is that right? Another thing, the fast pain, okay, we'll talk about thermal later, but thermal pathway follows the same pathway as pain pathway. So I'll concentrate my lecture on the pain pathway, but actually as I will talk about how the pain pathway fibers enter in central nervous system and how they ascend, in the same fashion thermal pathways go, right? So whatever I'm talking about the pain pathway, anatomically thermal pathway or temperature fibers are going in the same anatomical system. Now let's divide it, that we have divided the pain into fast, yes, and this is slow. Is that right? And we have started comparing it. The fast pain is going by A delta fiber and slow pain is going by C fibers. Fast pain is like pinprick fibers, pinprick pain. Slow pain is like burning pain, or like you can say throbbing pain or dull pain. Then another difference, fast pain is usually from the skin, but slow pain may be from the skin or from deeper tissues, from viscera. Then another difference, fast pain is usually stimulated by, the stimulus for the fast pain is mechanical stimulus or thermal stimulus. Mechanical stimulus or thermal stimulus. But slow pain may be mechanical or thermal or even chemical stimulus. For example, acids, alkalis, strong, which damage the tissue. Is that right? So we can say that fast and slow pain both can be produced by the mechanical and thermal damage, but slow pain is specifically by the chemical damage to the body, by different chemical agents. Is that right? Then another thing, that why pain is there, pain sensation is produced when there is tissue damage, when there is injury to the tissue, that alerts you to the harmful effect. Is that right? So they have studied the chemical environment in injured tissue, what are the chemical substances here which stimulate the nerve endings of the pain. Who can tell me what are the chemical substances in tissues? For example, my one hand is severely painful due to injury and other hand is not painful. Is that right? So if you really check the chemical composition of substances in the painful hand, there are some extra substances in painful area, of course some mediators of inflammation which are also causing pain. So who will tell me what are the different chemical substances in the area which can stimulate the pain-free nerve endings? Yeah. That may be the substances which may be there, that may be 5-hydroxytryptamine, that may be histamine, that may be bradykinin, yes, that may be bradykinin, and then that may be acids and potassium, that may be acids, and from injured cells, potassium is released when tissue is damaged. Cells are bags of potassium, they are very rich in potassium. So potassium is spilled out of the injured cells, right? That also irritate the free nerve endings for the pain. Is that right? So these are the chemical substances, right, which are produced at the site where pain is elicited, pain nerve endings are stimulated. Then there are two more substances which cannot directly produce the pain, but they can reduce the threshold for the pain, especially prostaglandins and substance P, which is a peptide. It is a neurotransmitter also in central nervous system. These two substances reduce the threshold for pain. Is that right? If these two substances are present in the tissue, then even very little concentration of these substances will produce the pain. But if these two substances are not there, then pain can be produced only by higher concentration of these substances. Am I clear? So they modify the threshold for the pain and they really start the stimulation to the pain nerve endings, the free nerve endings. Once the action potentials go to central nervous system, what really happens? The first order neurons, right, they have their cell body in dorsal root ganglion. The first order neurons have their cell bodies in, yes, dorsal root ganglion. This thing is common, that in dorsal system also, the first order neurons had their cell bodies in dorsal root ganglion, and in anterolateral system also, first order neurons had their cell bodies in dorsal root ganglion. Once these fibers enter there, right, these fibers terminate in the gray horn, dorsal gray horn, right, especially an area called substantia gelatinosa. Let me show you here. This is a section of spinal cord. Now, suppose this is the fiber coming for the pain. This is C fiber and this is a delta fiber. Is that right? Now, the first order neurons in pain pathway, their central processes terminate as soon as they enter, right? Once they terminate here, then next order, or we can say second order neurons will start and they will cross through the anterior commissure to the lateral white column, but on the contralateral side. The fibers will go to the contralateral side. Again, make a comparison. In dorsal system, right, in dorsal system, these were the central fibers which ascended upward. But in anterolateral system, or especially pain pathway and thermal pathway, what I am saying, that first order neurons, right, they, as soon as they enter, right, they will just divide into, I will make it rather more clear, once they enter, they divide into ascending and descending branches, right, and these ascending and descending branches, right, so we can make it here, there are descending branches and there are ascending branches, here also ascending branches and descending branches. So what we really see, that when pain fibers enter, right, in the spinal cord, they make ascending and descending branches. In this way, because pain fibers are entering at every level, so ascending and descending branches are making a full track here. This is a local track in spinal cord. This is a local track in spinal cord. Is that right? It's not ascending or descending track. Are you understanding? Am I clear or not yet? You are understanding me? No, you are not understanding me. Okay, let me explain it again. No problem. Let's suppose here are 3 spinal cord sections, right? Now, what really happens? Let me show you this by red color. When this comes, it makes some connections upward and it makes some connections downward. Then the fiber from lower level come, this also makes some connections upward and some connections downward. Then the fiber from this level, again ascending branch and descending branch. So a track is made within the spinal cord. It is like a local track. It's not taking the fibers all the up or down, right? And all the fibers which are coming with that pain sensations or temperature sensations, they are making a track, right? And actually, now these extensions, right, they are connected with the next order neuron, right? For example, if I say here is the second order neuron, right, which is going to take and cross it to the opposite side and then upward, is that right? So actually, this is a point where it is going like this, right? And of course, the new fibers which are coming, they are added on the medial side or lateral side? Medial side. What you really see here, as first order neurons enter into spinal cord, they give ascending branches and descending branches which contribute in the formation of tract. What is the name of this tract? This local tract is called, it is you can say dignified by a name, and the name of this tract is dorsolateral tract of Lissaure. What you read it? Lissaure. So let's call it tract of Lissaure, right? So this is a tract of Lissaure. It is made of ascending and descending branches of first order neurons, central processes as they enter into spinal cord. Is that right? Now then they are connected with the next order neurons. They are connected with the next order neurons. That is the second order neurons. It means that cell bodies of the second order neurons are present within the spinal cord. Is that right? Again, this is different from dorsal system. In dorsal system, you remember the fibers used to go medially and then go upward in dorsal system. And first order neurons, central process were going into up to nucleus, gracilis or cuneatus. Is that right? And in dorsal system, the cell bodies of second order neurons were present in nucleus, gracilis and cuneatus in dorsal system. But in anterolateral system, which we are talking about right now, the pain pathway and thermal pathway, second order neuron cell bodies are present within the spinal cord. Is that right? At the level of entry. Is that right? In the dorsal horn, especially that area in which these are present, these areas are called, this area is called substantia gelatinosa. What is the name of that area? For example, okay, I'll make it this area green. Your first order neurons ends on the second order neuron cell body. These areas called, what is this? Substantia gelatinosa. I will teach you later that at this point pain can be modified. There is a special theory, gating theory, which is related with this point. I will explain it later. Right. So how much we have learned up to now? Okay, let me make a new diagram. These are, now you must be understanding what are these spinal cord sections. Right? First order neurons, I should draw by which color? Blue is okay? So first order neurons coming here, making what? Yes, tract of Lissaure. And first order neuron also coming here with the pain and temperature related and making tract of Lissaure, right? From here, second order neurons will start, right? And its fibers will cross to the opposite side, contralateral white column, right? From here also they will cross to the contralateral. But the fibers which are at lower level, as they are ascending upward, then upper fibers are added to the medial side, right? Now this tract which is being made here, it is going up to thalamus. So we call it spinothalamic tract. And because it is in the lateral column, we call it lateral spinothalamic tract. So lateral spinothalamic tract is concerned with pain and temperature. Lateral spinothalamic tract is concerned with pain and temperature. And is in this pathway, right, as this tract is going up into spinal cord, is it right? You can say peripheral part of the tract or outer part of the tract, right, has fibers from the lower part of the body, and medial side of the tract has fibers from the upper part of the body. Then remaining story is simple, but I would like at the same level mention the crude touch. You know, crude touch is also going through anterolateral system. Now this blue pathway and red pathway is showing pain and temperature. I've introduced one more, you can say, pathway which is for the crude touch or light touch, not fine touch, not vibration, not position, because these senses are taken by dorsal column. But there is a crude touch, is that right? Now this pathway, fibers also come from the dorsal root. They also become part of, as they go up and down, right? From their second order neurons also cross to the opposite side. Their second order neurons also cross to the opposite side. But these fibers which are touch pathway, crude touch pathway, they don't go to the lateral side, they go to the which white column? Anterior white column. Is that right? And this pathway which is going up through this area, this is anterior spinothalamic tract. What is this? Anterior spinothalamic tract. Is that right? Now you know there is lateral spinothalamic tract and there is anterior spinothalamic tract. Lateral spinothalamic tract is concerned with pain and temperature, and anterior spinothalamic tract is concerned with crude touch. Is that right? And these two pathways are going upward. Now let's go to the brain stem. As the system is going up, of course from spinal cord, these two tracts will go to now medulla, right? So we draw the medulla here. Pyramid, and then olive, and then inferior cerebral, peduncle. This is the fourth ventricle. This is the section of medulla. Now, these medulla oblongata, of course, right? Now, here are the fibers which are making spinothalamic tract, and here are the fibers which are spinothalamic tract but anterior one, and that is lateral one. Actually, as we go upward, lateral and anterior fibers, lateral spinothalamic tract and anterior spinothalamic tract, they come together. They come together. I will make it easier diagram here, that this is your spinal cord, right? Here is your which pathway going up? Yes, lateral spinothalamic. And which pathway is going up here? Yes, ventral or anterior spinothalamic. Later on I will explain that another pathway is going from here up, and this is called, this was lateral spinothalamic, this was anterior spinothalamic. Another pathway is moving in between them, and this is called spinotactal pathway. Spinotactal, right? It is going up to the midbrain. Midbrain has a posterior portion which is called tectum. Midbrain has a posterior portion which is called tectum. So this spinotactal pathway is going to the tectum. Actually, this spinotactal pathway controls the spinovisual responses. For example, in lower part of the body, you have some stimulus and you have to look at that. You move your eyeballs there. That is spinovisual reflex. Is that right? So information from spinal cord, when it is going up, it goes to the midbrain in the tectum, right? I will draw it here exactly from the side. Tectum is here. This is midbrain, and midbrain has superior colliculus and inferior colliculus. Do you know that on the back of the midbrain there are swellings? This is upper swelling and this is the lower swelling. This is front of the midbrain, this is the back of the midbrain. The upper swelling is called superior colliculus. Upper swelling is called superior colliculus, and lower swelling is called inferior colliculus. Both of them together are called tectum. So basically, spinotactal pathway is going to the tectum. Is that right? Different stimuli from the body taking to the tectum so that your visual responses can be adjusted according to the stimulus coming from the body. It's very natural. If someone bites here, you suddenly look, or you are just walking and let's suppose you put your naked foot on some sharp thing. Not only you take the reflexly your foot away, but you look there as well. This looking there is spinotactile reflex. Is that right? Now what I really wanted to tell that these three pathways, lateral spinothalamic, which is pain and temperature pathway, anterior spinothalamic, which is crude touch pathway, and spinotactile pathway, which is basically for spinovisual reflexes. Is that right? When these pathways go up to medulla, they fuse together. Why I am trying to teach all of them? Because in the medulla, at the level of medulla, they fuse together. And when all three of them fuse together, right? When all three of them are fused together, right? And these all fibers then run anatomically as single bundle, right? Now all these fibers are anatomically running as single bundle from medulla upward. Is that right? This is called, yes, who will tell me the name of this bundle? Which is produced due to the fusion of lateral spinothalamic tract, tectospinal tract and anterior spinothalamic tract, and this bundle is fused within medulla and then moves upward up to thalamus. It passes through upper medulla, then through pons, and then through midbrain, eventually it reaches thalamus. What is the name of this structure? This is called spinal lemniscus. You already know medial lemniscus. From previous lecture you knew medial lemniscus. Medial lemniscus was formed from dorsal column system, and spinal lemniscus is formed by anterolateral system. But exactly you know that how it is formed and where it is formed. It is formed by combination of three tracts. What are those tracts? Lateral spinothalamic for pain and temperature fibers, tectospinal tract for spinovisual reflexes, and anterior spinothalamic tract for crude touch. Is that right? All these fibers come together. Is that right? In the medulla, right? And now they are called spinal lemniscus. Is that right? Then what happens? Let's go to our original diagram. I will make a basic all landmarks which we passed time. In last lecture we discussed the main landmarks, that here is your, let's suppose, medulla. Here is your pons. And here must be your, yes, what is it? Midbrain. And at the top of the midbrain, you have to tell me, we studied these structures last time. What is this? Okay, thank God you remember this. What are these? Thalami, right? And this is which side of the thalamus? Lateral side.